All right, guys, today we're talking about brake flushes. Let's get into it. As we're leading up to this video, we're kind of having conversations with everybody, and we want to be sure we're clear about something. When we're talking about brake flushes, we're talking about brake fluid flushing. We're talking about getting all the old brake fluid out, new brake fluid in. So we just call it a brake flush. Now, what we're going to go over in this video is why do we do them? When do we do them? When do we recommend them to be done? And then how do we do them? How do we do them? And we're also going to go over maybe a couple of ways that can be done that may be a little more time consuming, but that can still accomplish the same thing in the end of the day. Let's talk about why. Brake fluid flushes have been around for a very long time. In the European world, I cannot remember a time when they didn't recommend doing a brake flush. The reason that we're doing them, and you'll hear all kinds of stuff, and some of it holds some truth, and so we'll kind of go over one thing. A lot of times you'll hear, oh, it keeps your ABS system working better. It keeps the solenoids from getting gummed up or bound up or getting debris in them. And it's not untrue. Brake fluid inside of the brake metal brake lines, the copper will start to come apart, get into the solution of the fluid. It can create issues. It really would take quite a while. Now it can create issues if you go a long time without doing any kind of fluid service on it. It could create a problem. The biggest reason why you want to do a brake flush is because brake fluid is a hydroscopic fluid. It pulls moisture into it. Pulling moisture into the brake fluid lowers the boiling point of the brake fluid. We need the boiling point to be as high as possible. These areas down here by the brakes, by the rotors, pads, it gets really hot. Boiling point of fresh brake fluid, you open the bottle up, fresh brake fluid, .4, 446 degrees Fahrenheit. Wet brake fluid, and what that is that's 3.7% water by volume. So it takes about 2 years of .4 brake fluid. It takes 2 years for it to be, depending on atmospheric conditions and a lot of different factors, but generally about 2 years for it to get to that point where we consider it wet brake fluid. The boiling point then drops to 311 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's a huge difference. This gets really hot. What can happen? I personally haven't had it happen to me. I'd love to know if this has ever happened to you. Leave a comment down below. You could be driving, you got to make an emergency stop. You're driving down the highway, you're doing 70 miles an hour, 75 miles an hour, somebody slams on the brakes, you slam on the brakes, and you come to a stop and you miss them, and you're like, whoo, you let off the brake. You go to push it again, you're easing forward, and the pedal just goes to the floor. You've boiled the brake fluid right here, right by that caliper, right in behind it. Well, we can't compress a liquid. That's why that column of brake fluid acts like just like that. It just acts like one column going back and forth. When you boil the fluid, now you can compress that. You're pushing on the brake pedal. It's just compressing the air. It's not actually pushing the piston out to engage the brakes. So now you have no brake pedal. It's real spongy or it just goes to the floor. That can also happen if you're in the mountains. You're driving through the mountains and you're on the brakes coming down, you get brake fade. This is because of your brake fluid. So if you don't know what causes that, or you haven't known what causes that and have it happen before, you've had it happen, this is what causes it. It's because of the brake fluid boiling. When should we be doing the brake flushes? We kind of already went over it a little bit. About every 2 years. Time is more important than mileage, really. But 2 years, we usually say 2 years or 30,000 miles. So if you go that's how often you should be doing it. And there's other benefits to doing the brake flush also, right? Yes, the biggest one by far and away is the safety side of it. Are there other things that it can do? Yes, it can help to keep the debris. So if we think about how low these calipers are, right? So if we come in here, this is our lowest point on this brake system right there. So as the debris, little pieces of copper and stuff comes into solution, comes down, anything you get in here is going to work its way down and eventually end up at the bottom by that seal that we were talking about. And a lot of times you can do a brake job and you haven't done a brake flush in forever, and now you're doing a brake job, they squeeze the caliper back in, and now the piston binds up. Nothing really anybody could do about it. There was debris in there, they squeezed it, you got to squeeze it back in to put the brake pads on it, new brake pads on it, and the thing gets bound up. So it can help to eliminate that, or at least lessen the chances of that happening by doing the fluid services regularly. So that's another positive of doing it, and another reason why you should do it quite regularly. You're going to do depending on how hard you are on brakes, you may do the brake fluid service way more often than you're going to do the brakes themselves. So you might do, I've had people that have had brakes on their vehicle, they might have 100,000 miles on it, but we've done a brake flush 3 times on that vehicle. So that can happen. Real quick, you might be asking yourself a question. I just did a brake flush 6 months ago. Now I need brakes. Do I need to do another brake flush? The answer to that is no. You can bleed the brakes. If you'd like to see a video on how we can bleed the brakes on a vehicle, leave a comment down below. While you're scrolling down there to leave a comment, how about do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, leave us a thumbs up. Let's get back to the video. Over the years, the way we've done brake flushes has changed dramatically, honestly. And we'll go over a few of those ways that can still be done. This is our current way. This machine was loaned to us by Valvoline. We buy our brake fluid from Valvoline. The machine has fresh brake fluid that's put into it. We've got a line that comes out. We've got a adapter on the master cylinder reservoir. We're going to put pressurized brake fluid through this line into this reservoir. It's then going to, there's going to be brand new fluid here. It's just going to push and kind of go in the top of this. And then we're going to go down to the bottom, open up the bleeders, and we'll show you that. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. So just going to hit the green start button. And it's now, we can see, well, you probably just missed it a little bit, but it just pushed here. Here we go. And you can see on here it's getting about pulsing. That's how much pressure. Let's go up in there. Each one of these hoses here is connected to a bleeder. And Derek already has the bleeders open. So right now the fluid is flowing out of the machine into the reservoir, being pushed out and coming out through each one of these lines. That's what makes this system really, really easy and really fast is you can do all 4 of them at one time. Are there other ways of doing it? Absolutely. So years ago, we used to do when we go all the way back to the beginning, we had this little, they still sell this, by the way. I think we still have one in St. Mary's because a few vehicles take some really high pressure, and that one we can control the pressure on. But I used to call it a little R2-D2 unit, a little diaphragm looking thing, little ball looking thing kind of, the diaphragm in it. You filled it up with brake fluid, you pressurized the air on the other side, it had a hose that came out of it, and you had adapters that you'd put on the master cylinder just like that, and then you would just come out and open up the bleeders depending on how the system, how the system was set up on the car. You have to look that up in service information, or which one you want to start with. You would just open the bleeders, catch it in a container, and you let it come out until it was clean, and then you close it, go to the next one, and then you would just do all 4 wheels. You just one at a time. You can, and there's other machines too. I want to say we had a BG machine for a while, similar to this. You filled it up. You connected it to the master cylinder. It worked really good. It did 1 wheel at a time. Could you do this at home? Theoretically, yes. You're going to be there for a while. Most cars, I'm going to say. Some cars are going to require some pressure. But most cars you could do at home in your driveway. Somebody's going to have by the time they get done, their legs are going to be pumped up because you're going to be pumping the brake. You're going to be basically bleeding the brakes over and over and over and over until you get all the old brake fluid all the way down through the system, out and down through the lines. You can make that quicker by, if it doesn't have a screen in the master cylinder, you could suck out what's in there. Don't let it go all the way down dry, obviously. You can suck out what's in there, fill it up with new, and at least you're going to get rid of whatever's in there having to go through the system. So that makes it a little bit quicker. But you can do this manually, but it'll take you, when I say it'll take you a while, I would estimate most cars, a solid hour of you pumping the brake pedal and bleeding. So more than I would want to do. So how this is working right now is this is your brake bleeder right here. This hose, the bleeder is open and the hose is just right here. And these hoses actually have a little bit of vacuum on them. So as that's pushing pressure, this is actually sucking a little bit and it's just bringing that brake fluid out, down and back into the machine. And it's doing that on all 4. This has got 4 calipers on it, so we're doing the same thing over here. And then if we come to the front, we're going to see the same thing. Again, pulling out, and we should be almost done, right? Yep. And then he's just going to close up the bleeders now. This does not let any air in the system. You do not want to ever let any air in the brake system. That's, it's got to be air free, 100%. 100% air free.
We get a lot of people who did brakes that come in here with air, and then we got to flush it to get the air out.
Yeah, and sometimes people will open them up and do things, and they don't realize that they get air in it, and then they wonder why their pedal's mushy and not good, and we just do a flush, and it's fixed.
So if you need to bleed your brakes at home or even flush your brakes, AGM makes a kit to where you can do it at the house. It looks like on this one, you will need an air compressor.
You're gonna need to pressurize the system.
Yeah, you need but I mean, $100 for
the kit.
For the kit, and then
my only question would be on something like that is the adapters for the brake master cylinder.
That's what I'm trying. It looks like it's just a.
The old school one that we used to have, years ago, had the little rubber deal that you put down in and all that.
We still have one. Like,
yeah,
they still do that.
They might have like a universal one. It might be something to look at. If you're, if you're at home DIY, we'll put a link in here for this. But this might be something you could use. And yeah, you can. Oh yeah, you can definitely get the little kit. Now, if you're depending on how often you're going to do it, if you buy the whole master kit, or if you can find one that just fits your cars, that whole master kit was $100, yeah. And then the bleeder kit is $100. So you'd have $200 in it. That'd be more than what a brake flush is. But if you do it 3 or 4 or 5, 10 times, right? Yeah, life of a vehicle. If you got 2 or 3 different 4 cars and you're doing it at home.
Do your car, your wife's car.
Yeah, you could.
You got kids,
yeah.
relatives.
Yeah, so might be something to invest in, or take it to a professional, and we can do it too. So we like doing them. But anyway, I think we're almost done here. So what he's going to do is he's got them tightened up. He's going to put the caps. So always put your caps back on. So when you get these off, this one's tightened up, correct, Baby G?
Yeah.
So when you get this off, it's going to be a rubber cap that you're going to put back on here. So make sure you put them back on. They look like that. And that way it keeps anything from, actually rust and everything, water and everything getting in there. Nothing's going to get into the master cylinder, but it just keeps the bleeder a little free of any debris so that when you go to open it later, it's going to flow properly. The other thing that he's going to do is clean up this brake fluid, right? He'll get a little bit of brake clean, spray it up there and get rid of that. Just, quality job at the end. Of all the fluid services that we do, and I think that they're all important, but when it comes to safety, this one, it's way overlooked. It's one of the least expensive ones that we do, and it is probably the one that you need to do. If you don't do any of the other ones, if you say, I don't believe in it, believe in this one and do it. It's a safety thing. And for those of you out there that have had that pedal go to the floor, you know what I'm talking about. That is a butt pucker moment in your life, and you will never forget it when it happens. So this is how you eliminate that from happening. All right, guys, appreciate you watching. Hope you liked it. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think about brake flushes. Have you ever done one, had one done? What do you think? Appreciate you watching. See you in the next one.